I feel understaffed at 7, but I think you could do pieces of it for less, but yeah, it's gonna take us 7 people driving hard, constantly behind to get the plan done. Is that who you've been using? You've been in Ohio Pool?
Ohio Sky.
Ohio Sky?
Ohio Sky's from Cleveland.
Are they really?
Yeah.
You get an email once in a while from an old sales coach with like sideburns and like rolled up sleeves, and it was just like, call more, call harder, you know? And I mean, I started with a little mirror that you looked in before every call. Yeah. It's like, yeah. And I got a desk, it was 3 foot. I remember because when I sat down, my elbows touched both sides.
Yeah.
And it had a phone, it had a notepad, it had a mirror, and then it had a cozy membership book. And our direction was, everybody in this book is a business with health insurance. Call them and tell them that you can save them 20% on their property and casualty. What I love about what you guys are doing is I feel like that same thing has been happening on the marketing side and technology side.
Yeah.
And that's not a good solution. It's just like, hey, here's this stuff, go ahead and use it, and we're gonna have the same result. I feel like the same thing's happening now. It's just like, hey, here's your cubicle, and it's called Facebook and Twitter, and just everybody on that's a potential prospect, so go get it. And I feel like the stuff that you guys are doing is helping producers to think about, like, an agency principles, is think about, like, what the heck does this mean? How does it fit in with your agency? Is your agency ready to talk about that? Do you have a budget that supports it? Are you integrating the people, process, and technology? Because one without the other is not gonna work, and so, you know, I love that you guys are starting to bring intelligence around that same value prop I had.
I've got like 5 emails that I haven't even gotten back to people on. Like, they're just like, hey, should I do this? Hey, should I do that? Hey, should I do? I said, well, how much is the annual premium? Like, how many of those people are you going to sell? Like, it's like three basic questions. Like, you know, they're looking for a $5,000, you know, commercial account, you know, and they want to market to these people, but there's no viability in the niche that they want to go after.
Which is what we were doing. So in 2014, that's what we were doing. We were spending like a little bit of time, a little bit of energy, just enough not to be successful. Almost guaranteed ourselves that no matter what we did or what we spent, it was not going to work. So in 2015, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm going to get a proposal from marketing companies, and we're going to do this right. And I'll never forget, the lowest quote I got was $113,000.
Wow.
And the biggest one was like $179,000. And I was like,
Who are you talking to?
We talked to PR 2020. We spoke to Thunder Tech, just the big guys downtown here. And I was like, you know what, that's a department and an agency. That's not a vendor spend, that is a business plan. I reached out to a guy that had been helping us with some stuff and said, why don't we merge our companies? And so we merged his marketing company into Zinc. And since 2015, a significant portion of our real estate and our business plan has been around supporting the marketing company, getting it where it needs to be from a people, process, and technology standpoint to support the insurance operations. We've had a lot of success with artists. So
Really?
yeah, craft artists. So we launched a website in 42 states that allows artists to go on, rate their own policy, issue their own policy, and service their own policy. And that last year it grew at 16%. Wow. Yeah, some mornings I wake up and there's 13 policies sitting in your inbox, and credit card paid in full, non-cancelable. And it's just like, hey.
What's important there is that the people that I'm assuming that's a smaller policy, right? But you have the
the average policy is 611, but we don't have to touch it at all.
You don't have to touch it though, right? I think that's what people forget. Like, if they want to approach that $600 policy like the guy that's always been down the corner of the street. You know, they want to go knock on that door, and you've got to have the technology to make that work. Because like you said, you just wake up and, hey, 13 policies, what's up?
Yeah, I think what's more important than that, and this is what I starting to see in the stuff that you're doing, is just learning how to do that's going to open up other doors. So this year we're launching into trucking, and trucking, the average policy is $36,000.
There you go.
And we feel, I'm extremely confident by the end of this year that we can be doing the same thing that we learned on $600 policies on $36,000 policies. I really am.
Yeah.
And
I would just say the biggest difference would be the artist versus the trucker.
Yeah.
Versus like their ability to actually want to and or just to actually get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the customer experience is different. So the artist is looking for a certificate or two to get to a fair or whatever.
Yeah.
A trucker is looking for advice. They're looking for solid markets. They're
Right.
looking for fast delivery and technology. And so all of those things that we had to learn, we learned very small, and now we're starting to learn them, and they all apply.
Right.
It's like if you learn it on a $600 policy, does anyone want less technology? Does anyone want less ease of doing business? Does anyone want less fast? No, they want those things. It's the people that make the marketing work at the end of it. So if you don't have Rob and Cindy at the end to answer the questions and be the expert, like you said, then it's not going to work. So that's why Rob's with us.
So you've done trucking for a long time?
Yeah, 20 some years. Like the difference, as I see it, is going to be primarily reaching people in ways that they've never been reached before. Traditional marketing, mailing, making phone calls. Now we're going to be using social media, Facebook, Instagram, videos, YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
And you were always going after straight trucking. Now we're talking about going after health and wellness, meditation, the crazy things like that. Do you think it will have an impact or can have an impact?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're going to be reaching and talking about things that nobody else is talking about.
Our marketing campaign for Rob launches this week. So it starts with postcard, email. We've already started on Social Studio, so we're producing video content around health and wellness. So we're working with a local chiropractor to talk about the issues that they're thinking about. So what they're searching, truckers are searching for issues related to their health. That affects their business performance. Business performance is an insurance issue, and it comes back to us. When they call, though, if Rob isn't there with his plan ready to execute, then it doesn't work. That's why so few people do that niche.
Trucking is very specialized. You have to know exactly
that,
what you're
yeah.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the coverages formed. You even have to get into like the regulatory part of it. So you have to know what the regulations are.
And then you have to do the markets. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's appointing me to sell truck insurance because that's not what I do. So even if you wanted to get into it, you have to have the markets that are willing to go. And so Rob joining us brings not only his expertise and the ability to market differently, but it brings the markets that we need in order to do it. Because if you're good, if you can sell, the markets are going to come with you. So
So you're saying you don't have all the markets you probably want right now, but you're just going to start with a few?
we didn't, but when Rob decided to make the move, they all came.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they wanted to be with a guy who can get it done.
It's exciting. It's going to be a great year.
Sales goals are on Zinc TV, so
That's right.
it's happening.
Intense.
It is.
Wow.
But that multiculturalism, it really makes us kind of like different in a weird
Oh,
way.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Usually agencies are lucky to have somebody from a different bloodline.
Yeah, and it's funny, we went to the carriers, I'm like, hey, we want to start selling in Korean. And they were like, whoa. They're like, what do you mean? See, we have a website and brand management. We've got an internal coder and developer. We've got a funnel manager. We've got 2 writers, a research assistant, and we just hired a videographer, so 7 people.
I was going to say video.
Yeah. So
Nice.
7 people, and I finally feel like we're staffed, right?
Mhm.
So then it was about getting the budget and the revenue up to support that,
Yeah.
and then getting the technology to make it all work, because just using disparate technology to make outcomes happen, even if you're having success, I would say most agencies don't even know if they are. They might be attributing it to a producer, they might be attributing to a website, to someone great on the phones, and they really can't even tell where they're having wins and where they're having losses.
I'll tell you this. It's easy to figure out, once you start doing video, you'll know right away.
Oh yeah,
You'll know right away.
yeah.
They'll be like, I want to talk to that person that I saw online watching his video. And they're going to say, hey, I want to thank you so much for putting that stuff out there
Yeah,
because it was really helpful. And like that's how the conversation is going to start. And then it's going to be 15 minutes and it's sold.
yeah, and picking niches where you can do it. I mean, winning the insurance war is a pretty big thing. So
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's working for us now is we're picking niches and really focusing on those niches. I know you've been doing a lot of that. But just picking something where we have, first of all, there's blue ocean, there's not a lot of traffic out there.
Yeah.
Secondly, where we have the markets and they align and they want to do it, and then where we can put plan both from a producer or service standpoint and then also from a marketing standpoint around that. If you don't have those components, then you have a hole in the ground where you should just bury your money because it's not going to
Yeah.
work. And I think we've been learning that over the last couple of years is like, hey, just having people and just doing things does not necessarily mean success. This is one I'm most proud of. We are, I think, the only agency that has a Pantera poster.
Nice.
But the one that I love, my personal, besides Pantera, is I am a Clutch fan. I don't know if you like Clutch,
Dude,
but yeah.
dude,
Well,
dude.
see,
Seen Clutch like 5 times, man.
so I'm a huge Clutch fan. Yeah. So I take that back. We might be the only agency in the world that has Pantera and Clutch posters in the hallways. So
No, that's a guarantee.
it's a guarantee.
Favorite Clutch album, big moment.
Oh. Now you're putting on. Now you have to edit me out on that one. They've got a rhythm section. I see a lot of people listen to Clutch and they're listening to guitars and listening to the vocals, and those are strong. I'm not going to say that, but
Dan Maines, bass player.
they bust out a bass and a drum line that just like.
Small upsetters.
This is 74, and this is in Montreal, and this is Bob Dylan. He only had 2 roadies in this tour, and one was named Fastback, the other was Bill Shealy. Bill Shealy ended up in Cleveland, and he saw this amazing thing. All these crowds started showing up for Dylan and the band, and he's like, no one's taking pictures, so he started taking pictures. So this picture was taken in Montreal in 74. I've got the set list in my office, and then this is that D harp right there.
Oh, really?
That's his D harp.
That's intense.
Traffic, there's a ton of search around it. That was my welding helmet, so you know what, that's fine. I left the factory floor wearing that helmet and got into insurance. I've never been to college a day in my life. That was my moneymaker. Now we're talking to me, but so 10 years on a factory floor welding, and I made it to $15 an hour. I had 3 shoulder surgeries by the time I was 28, and that was the only thing I had to make money with, and insurance took me in, which is why I love it. So
We took a lot of people in.
we do. It's a very low threshold of entrance.
Isn't it?
So we were thinking about doing what we do for other agencies, and it just, the importance of us executing and doing it really well has us punting, at least for now, on what we're doing for other agencies. And so we're going to focus on technology and development and those type of things. But we actually said no to something, which is a first for me, because usually it's like, hey, we can do it all. But like, I am so proud that I decided not to do something. So yeah. And if it doesn't work, and it won't, and a lot of it will not work,
Yeah.
then you got to switch, and you got to switch, and you got to switch. Well, like for one, so on Home and Auto, we worked with Westfield on a Westpac program. So it was people with homes over 450, credit scores over 690, household income over 120,000. So 7-mile radius, figure out who those people are,
Yep.
and start sending them images that kind of show those values. Nothing about Westfield, nothing.
Right.
All zinc,
Yeah.
all about bundling and those type of things. Right? Then a lot of advertising about how the people like that should start looking for us in the events, right? And then a bunch of email support to that, just saying, hey, you know, we're out there, we're doing these things, social, that piece of it. And then at the event, just being ready to execute from the minute. Make sure we were set up the day before or before anyone got there, making sure everything was out, technology working. We have a lot of faults, but the one thing you can't say is we don't look good and we don't show up good,
Yeah.
and that our stuff isn't high quality. So I think they were astounded not to be getting a poorly made Chinese squeeze ball with a bad logo on it.
I think the bigger thing is like you just told me 450,000 in average home value, 120,000 in annual income. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those are like you got to know that you know that you got to know that you can sell $12,000 worth of premium that day, right?
Yeah, well, you got to know your demographics nowadays.
Right.
If you're marketing, I don't care who you are, you got to know your demographics. We're on Route 82. There's a 44,000 car count. There's 76,000 rooftops in here. The median household income is 110, right? Average age is 44.7. So everything we do is, I mean, even this place, it's like it is built to appeal to that person. When they walk in, this should feel like home. And we'll miss on some people, that's fine. But right down the middle, for where we service in a 7-mile radius of here, we look exactly like the highest and best user. So I think the other thing too is working with the carriers to develop that. So a lot of the agents are trying stuff and they haven't coordinated their effort with product and appetite. And so even if they get success, they come back all excited and then nobody wants to write it. We come up with a new business goal with our model, and then we sit all our carriers down together in the same room on the same day. and we tell them what we're going to write and how we need their support.
Yeah.
And then we meet with them quarterly then to start breaking up those goals by line of business, by product, whatever it might be, to do that. And by putting them all together, I think that's totally changed the dynamics. The whole thing of just coming in here and strong arming, not at Zinc. It's like our new business goal on Zinc TV this year is 1.65 through marketing. We literally show our campaign spends by carrier to the carrier and then ask for money back in return for it. Hey, we're going to spend $15,000 trying to grow your book by this much.
Yeah.
We need $4,000 for these events and these pieces of things in order to do that. And we'll hold ourselves accountable and we'll report monthly both on the activity and the outcomes.
So how do you get them all in the same room on the same day? That seems like a magic trick.
It was a little weird at first. As a matter of fact, some companies refused to come the first time.
Sounds about right.
But some of those companies, and you know who you are, they've come around because they've seen the performance piece of it and they say that
Yeah.
works. It's like, hey, like,
Well, I mean, what drives me nuts is like they don't want every piece of business anyways, right?
No.
Like, and the more coordinated, I guess, we all are, the better chance we all have.
well, some days I felt like my number one job was convincing each carrier that they were my number one carrier.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Right,
You're my
right.
best. And it's like, let's just get past this and say, listen, you're an important part of our agency, so
Yeah.
let's talk about how
Right.
we can grow that piece of it. We definitely have a funky vibe. I have to say, of all the agency nation, you have the best music. So,
Hold on, wait. Hold on. Say that one more time.
of all the agency nation stars, and there are so many stars, and they're wonderful stars. Now I sound like Trump.
Yeah.
I have to say that Joey has the best music on his video for sure.
Thank you.
No,
I work hard at that.
you should.
We'll
It
finish
makes a difference.
Don't